Hello mathematicians, here is long division homework number 1. The first one I did for you, so that way you have an example to look at. Don't worry if you're still feeling a little bit so-so on this, because we've just started. You'll get it. All right, so let's look at the one right next door. It says 251 divided by 3. So we're thinking groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3. How many times does 3 go into 2? You could write a 0, but most kids just think, how many times does 3 go into? It would be 8 times. That's our divide step. Multiply 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract and bring down. So we've divided into groups of 3. We keep dividing, and now we have 11 left, and we can definitely make another group of 3 from that. How many groups of 3 fit into 11? 3 times 4 would be too much, so it must be 3 times 3. 3 groups of 3. Whenever you write something across the top, that's the divide step. Multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract. When there's nothing to bring down, that's when you know you're done. So the answer would be 83 with 2 left over. 83, remainder 2. And remember, it's a remainder because you can't make another group of 3 from them, right? It's only 2. All right, let's look down below. 456 divided by 8. So we're thinking groups of 8, groups of 8, groups of 8. How many groups of 8 fit into 4? Well, none. So let's think, how many groups of 8 fit into 45? Let's see, 8 times 6 is 48. That's too much. 8 times 5. I know 5 groups of 8 will get us as close as possible. Whenever you write something across the top, that's the division step. Multiply. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract. Bring down. So now we're looking at 56. So we have 56 left, and we can still make groups of 8 from there. How many groups of 8 fit into 56? Exactly 7. That's our divide step. Multiply. 7 times 8 is exactly 56. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. So the answer is 57. So that one worked out perfectly. Number 4, 620 divided by 4. We're thinking groups of 4, groups of 4, groups of 4. How many groups of 4 fit into 6? If you had 6 kids, you could make one group of 4. You'd have to have 8 kids to make 2 groups of 4. So that's the divide step. Multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. Bring down. So we're going to keep dividing into groups of 4 until we've done the entire number. We have 22 to look at right now. How many groups of 4 can you make from 22? 5 groups of 4. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract. Bring down. We need to do the process, the divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, one more time. And I can tell because there's this empty space right here, so I need to go through the process one more time. So I'm going to think, how many groups of 4 fit into 20? 5 groups of 4. I think this one's going to work out perfectly. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. So the answer is 155. On to the back. 838 divided by 2. So think groups of 2, groups of 2, groups of 2. How many groups of 2 fit into 8? 4 groups of 2. Right? If you had 8 kids, you could make 4 groups of 2 kids. Multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract. Bring down. We have to go through the process again. How many groups of 2 can you fit into 3? How many 2s can you fit into 3? And that would be 1 group of 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract. Bring down. So we have 18 left. We can definitely still make some groups of 2. Imagine an entire countertop of cookies, and we've been making them into groups of 2, groups of 2, groups of 2, groups of 2, groups of 2. We have 18 left. We can still make some groups of 2. How many groups of 2 can you make from 18? And the answer would be 9. Multiply 9 times 2 is exactly 18. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. 419. Let's do the one right next door. 345 divided by 5. So I'm thinking groups of 5, groups of 5, groups of 5. How many groups of 5 fit into 3? Well, 0. And you could write that and go through the process, but a lot of kids just like to look at the next digit and think, how many groups of 5 fit into 34? Let's see, 5 times 7 is 35. That's too much. So let's do 5 times 6. 6 groups of 5. That's our divide step. Multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. That was as close as we could get to 34. Subtract. Bring down. How many groups of 5 fit into 45? 9 groups of 5, because I know my facts of 5. Multiply. 9 times 5 is exactly 45. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. You could write remainder 0, but it's really a waste of energy. Number 6, 777 divided by 6. So we're thinking groups of 6, groups of 6, groups of 6. How many groups of 6 fit into 7? 1 group of 6. Multiply. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract. Bring down. How many groups of 6 fit into 17? Let's see. 6 times 3 is 18, so it's got to be 6 times 2. Multiply. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract. Bring down. How many groups of 6 fit into 57? 6 times 9 is 54. All right, multiply. 9 times 6 is 54. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. 129 with 3 left over. Because there were 3 left over, that's why we couldn't make another group of 6 from it. All right, and the last one, 496 divided by 3. So we're thinking groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3. How many groups of 3 can we make out of 4? You can make 1 group of 3. Multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract. Bring down. So we have to go through the process again. How many groups of 3 fit into 19? Let's see. Ooh, 7 times 3 is too much. Ooh, 6. Because I know when I multiply that 6 times 3 is 18. That was as close as we could get to 19. Subtract. Bring down. And one more time, how many groups of 3 fit into 16? 3 times 5. I know 5 groups of 3. Multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract. There's nothing to bring down. That's when you know you're done. 165 with 1 left over. All right, kids, here are the answers for side. And the answers for the second side. All right, I will see you in class.